He's under 30 seconds. Thank you very much, Dave Thomas, and good afternoon, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving. Welcome in once again to our weekly Fan and Press Luncheon here at O'Neill's Grill. We are here each and every Tuesday throughout the football and college basketball season with head coaches from James Madison University. And welcome to those watching on Facebook Live here today, as well as listening throughout the Valley on ESPN 1360 and 101.3 FM with today's daily sports feed with Dave Thomas. I'm Kurt Dudley from Athletics Communications, and we do have a full lineup for you here on this Tuesday. We're going to get stuff with Turkey. We're going to get stuff with JMU Sports here this afternoon here at O'Neill's Grill. Coming up, we'll have head coach Mike Houston of the top-ranked and number one seeded JMU football Dukes. We'll also hear today from Lewis Rowe, the Dukes back from the Bahamas, a tournament in the Bahamas this past weekend, as well as Sean O'Regan, head women's basketball coach, before he takes his team to Vermont for a tournament this weekend. This past Saturday was a tremendous day for the JMU athletics program. It began early in the morning with the JMU Cross Country Dukes winning the ECAC championships in a race that was held up in New York. Carol Strock was second overall among 210 runners, and the Dukes actually had 4 of the top 10 finishers, thus they won the ECAC championship for the second year in a row. It was also a tremendous weekend for Coach Lauren Steinbrecher and the JMU Volleyball Dukes. They went in as the number 3 seed in the CA tournament, hosting the tournament at Godwin Hall. They came out as the champions as they took 5 sets to dispatch 6-seeded Elon. Then on Friday night, took 3 sets to get rid of Towson. And then Saturday afternoon, took care of the College of Charleston, the number 1 seed, in 3 sets, and in that, Taylor Austin became the first libero to win the most valuable player honors for the CA championship. So congratulations to her. Michaela White, as well as Bryn Recker, were named to the all-tournament team. The Dukes learn who and where they will play for the NCAAs. This coming Sunday, ESPNU will have the live selection show. That's coming up Sunday. And of course, the JMU football Dukes won the outright title in the CAA on Saturday, beating Elon 31-3, finishing the year at 11-0, extending their winning streak to 23 consecutive games, and the number 1 seed for the upcoming FCS playoffs. Duke's first game in the playoffs at home on December the 2nd, and JMU will host either Stony Brook of the CAA or the Patriot League champion, the Lehigh Mountain Hawks. Maybe Coach may chat a little bit about that as well. Tickets are on sale now, and you can get those by going to jmutickets.com, or you can call the JMU ticket office. It is open throughout the week, 568-3853. That's JMU Duke. And one other aspect, coming out this afternoon is the all-conference honors from the CAA. That will be released after today's press conference as well. 1 o'clock, you can look for that. Follow the JMU football Twitter account. I understand there's just a few things coming out, as Chris Brooks stayed up all night, I think, to take care of that. So we're going to bring in the head coach of the undefeated, number 1 seeded Dukes of James Madison football, Mike Houston. Coach.
Thanks a lot, and thanks for being back out this week. And as always, thanks to O'Neill's, Mo and Tim for hosting us again this week. And what an incredible weekend for our football program. So first off, just thanks to all the fans that made a trip down to Elon, North Carolina. It was great when we took the field and the whole visitor side is solid purple and packed. And so we truly were fortunate to have that kind of support down there. And from about Wednesday of last week on, I felt like our team was, really probably in the best place it's been all year as far as preparation. And leading into Friday, just had a really sharp Thursday, Friday, meetings Friday night. And we got up Saturday morning, where our first team meeting was at 7:15 a.m. Saturday morning, and I came around to the meeting room at 7:02, and they told me everybody's in there waiting on me. So the kids woke up excited and ready to go right out of the gate there Saturday, and certainly their play on Saturday reflected that. Probably the most complete game we've played all year, and a complete, dominating effort in all three phases, and really left no doubt as to who would win the conference championship this year. So just a special performance. Really proud of all the kids and just the way they went out and prepared and competed and battled all day, and the whole deal right there after the game, on the field, in the end zone, and the deal with the commissioner outside the locker room after the game. That is going to be one of the highlights of my career. Just that a special moment there with that group of kids, and just seeing their reactions and with everything they've invested. We've been through a lot of adversity that some people knew about, a lot of people didn't know about this year, and we've been through some times where I'm wondering, are we going to have enough? Are we going to have enough receivers this week to actually play, or who's going to play running back this week, or stuff like that. And but they kept on battling. They showed up on game day, and just to see that culmination there post game Saturday was really, really special. So congratulations to our team, and thank you to JMU Nation. So with that, any questions about last week's game or the upcoming playoffs?
Coach Dave Thomas, ESPN Radio Harrisburg, the JMU Sprint Broadcast Network. Elon came out really intent on running the football,
right,
and had some success early. Were they showing you anything any different, or was it just a matter of letting the game kind of settle in, that your guys get used to the game, and that's when you begin to dictate defensively?
Well, I think number one, their offensive line has done a great job this year. And coming into the game, we thought that was going to be the real battle right there between our front seven and their offensive line. And, we misfit a couple of runs there early, and, they had a little bit of success there in the first quarter. Once we got to the sideline and got our fits corrected, I thought we did a pretty good job from there on. But it was, obviously them doing a good job, and then us not, just not doing a good job of being in the right spot right there that allowed a couple of those runs there in the first quarter.
Tommy Keeler, Northern Virginia Daily. You talk a little bit about your freshman class. Has it kind of done what you expected, or have they surprised you a little bit this year?
Well, I think we got really solid production from our freshmen this year. You start on offense and look on the offensive line from Liam Fernadel, redshirt freshman Zaire Bethea. Both those kids playing significant snaps there. You look at Clayton Cheatham and the job that he did all throughout the year, not just filling in, but also here in the latter half of the season being a great tandem there with Clue. 4 touchdown catches on the year, so really good in the red zone. So you look at punter Harry O'Kelly, who I think that I had visions of what I wanted to do when we signed him, and we went out and found him for that reason. But I think he may have even exceeded my expectations just with his performance, because what he's become is a legitimate threat every fourth down, to convert. And at the same time, a real weapon when it comes to field position. Elon's average starting field position Saturday was their 18-yard line. He had, I think, 4 kicks inside the 20 downed. So, it's a lot easier to call defense, when you're in that end of the field than it is if you're around midfield. So, and then, within our defensive group, you didn't see a lot of freshmen play there, but you did see Mike Green playing some up front. You did see Taurus Carroll and Wesley McCormick play in the secondary, and I thought those kids did a really good job. So I think that we probably got better support and production from the freshman class this year than we did last year, or what I've gotten in previous seasons.
Greg Medea, DNR. The way your offense is played, I guess that last drive against Richmond and then this past week, a pretty balanced attack.
Right.
Is it the best it's played all season?
Yeah.
Do you think it's hitting its stride at the right time?
Yeah, no doubt. And I thought our offensive line had its best game last Saturday, against, what had been, a defense that was playing really, really well down the stretch. You look, not only did we run the ball for right at 200 yards, the one thing as I was glancing at the stats coming in was, and I didn't realize that Saturday, we didn't give up a sack Saturday. So did a great job protecting Brian, which, resulted in Brian's big day, 3 rushing touchdowns, 70-some yards rushing, over 200 yards passing, conference player of the week. Our offensive line did a great job of taking care of him on Saturday. But I think, right now what you're seeing is we are playing the best that we have all year. And I think the big part of that is we're as healthy right now as we've been all season. So it's good to finally get the guys, on the field that need to be on the field going into the playoffs.
How long did it take you guys to get adjusted to playing without Carden after he had that great first game? I know it was kind of running back by committee for really
Right.
the whole season. How long has it taken you?
I think it maybe changed us a little bit. I think that, Marcus and Trey and Taylor and Percy has emerged, and they're all just solid ball carriers. The thing that you're missing is, that fifth-year senior that has, such explosion. I mean, Carden is such a dynamic running back. He has, every time he touches the ball, he has a chance to go the distance. And not that those other guys don't, because some of them do, but, you have fifth-year senior, he saw the cuts. He rarely made a mistake. And so I think just growing up, Marcus learning how to run the zone run game, which he's getting better and better every week. Taylor battled a lot of injuries mid-season that slowed him down. So did Trey. And Percy's a freshman. So I think that they did a good job, as the season wore on, of kind of working together, to fill that void.
David Guzman, TV3 in Harrisonburg. Coach, I'm not expecting you to say that you'd rather not have the bye week, but that being said, I guess compared to last year, how big is it that you guys obviously earned that bye week, and how do you make the most of it?
I think everybody's ecstatic we have the bye week. So, it's, and I've said it many times, we went 11-0 in the regular season. It's a great achievement, but we got everyone's best shot every week. And this group has worked extremely hard in preparation, and every Saturday I really felt like we played at a high level and really competed. And there are some guys that are tired, and we are taking advantage of this bye week to try to get some rest. We are practicing, but we're also being conscientious of how many snaps some of our guys have played. So it really comes at a good time. I would anticipate us being, probably completely healthy or as close as you're going to get at this time of the year, going into Sunday, well rested. And the other thing I think that's a, kind of a blessing and a reward is, the fact that, the kids, the coaches, all of us get to see our families on Thanksgiving Day and, get to spend that time with them, and you kind of get to catch your breath a little bit. So I think I'm glad we got it. It's good timing, and we're going to enjoy it.
Coach, I know you just talked about your running backs, but they're all a little different in the way they run. And I really felt on Saturday that Marcus and Taylor ran more punishing, which might have opened some things up for Trey. Is that a case, you look at a game, you use them obviously to keep them rested, both physically and mentally, but oftentimes so maybe one or the other can support the run a little better by wearing the defense out a bit?
Well, I do think that, each of them have different strengths, and I agree with you. The thing with Taylor last year, he wasn't that kind of runner. And, the thing that nobody knew was he was battling the shoulder injury all year, and that kept him from being that style of runner. But I thought Saturday he and especially Marcus, he was really physical at the point of contact on Saturday on a lot of those runs, and that does wear a defense down. That between the combination of that and our offensive line, and I really felt like, Trey did a good job, seeing the cuts and making the plays. But, the fact that we can put a fresh back in there regularly. I mean, I thought Percy did some good things there late in the game when he got an opportunity. That's only going to help us going into the postseason, having that kind of depth at that position.
Can you talk a little about Rashad Robinson and the season that he's had and kind of what he's kind of meant to that secondary?
Well, Rashad's the stable one in the room. Okay, I'll just tell you now, and anybody that's ever coached the secondary, I used to be a secondary coach before I was a head coach, and you have a lot of personalities, okay, and it's kind of like my 2 little kids. They're all over the place and they're wild, and you got to calm them down every once in a while. So Rashad's the one that calms everybody down every once in a while. So he's a great young man, and coming into this year, he worked so hard to prepare himself, and he really. I thought our secondary as a whole, and especially our corners room, had a great regular season, and I think they are you ask anybody in the league, they are a big factor as to why we were able to do what we did defensively, because we were able to sit there and play press man coverage tight against the good receivers in our league, whether it's, O'Connor from New Hampshire or the two wide receivers from Rhode Island, or whomever. We were able to play tight man coverage against those guys, and you saw it Saturday. When there are no windows to throw in and the quarterback has to hold the football, that's when the sacks start adding up and the pressure on the quarterback starts taking effect. So Rashad has been a great leader for us in that room, but I think that group right there has had a really great outstanding regular season.
Coach, as we learned all CAAs today, and you guys not only survived but at times thrived in this league, how has CAA play prepared you for what you obviously hope would be a very deep run in the postseason?
Well, I think that this is the best conference in FCS football. No disrespect to the Missouri Valley, but I think we showed last year that this conference deserves to have that reputation until somebody changes it. And if you win this league, you've got a legitimate shot to win the national championship. And I think even Stony Brook and some of the top teams in our league. I'm not really excited about them being, on our side of the bracket, because you watch them; they are a threat to win the national championship, because the teams in this league play good defense. They're extremely physical. They can run the football. They're well coached, and you get into postseason play. Those are the factors that are going to decide close ball games. So I think the CAA, I would expect to see us have a pretty strong showing this weekend. Hopefully JMU will have a very strong showing next weekend, but I think that the parity and the competition in this league is the reason you see teams regularly come out of this league and make a run at the national championship.
Just as you started your prep for either Lehigh or Stony Brook, what have you noticed? Are there a couple of things that jump out about either team?
We're really focused on Stony Brook today, so we spent a lot of time last night and this morning with the film on them. The thing that stands out, a huge offensive line, very physical running back. They have two receivers that are playmakers. Quarterback does a good job of managing the ball game. And you flip over defensively, I think that, they're one of the top defensive units in our league. Their secondary are very athletic, remind me a lot of our secondary. The fact that they can play man. The two safeties are good cover guys, but they're also active in the run game. They have, the big interior guys up front are going to cause problems, and their linebackers are very active. So you watch them on special teams, and I think, when you look at a team's special teams, I think you can really see the identity of the football team, and you watch how physical they are on special teams. Chuck's done a great job up there. He's kind of a tough, hard-nosed guy, and like I've said before, I think your team takes on the personality of their head coach. And I expect them to be, if that's who we faced, I expect them to be a very physical, hard-nosed, talented football team that we'll have to play very, very well if we face them. Tomorrow we're going to work on Lehigh. So ask me the same question tomorrow, and I'll give you my synopsis of Lehigh.
Coach, we talked during your bye week about how one of the things you wanted to do was self-scout.
Right.
And you talked about on Sunday the fact that your coaches get along so well and that there's an honesty in the room and there's no ego there. When they're self-scouting one another, talk about that process of going, okay, wait a minute, I'm noticing this, I'm noticing that. How does that work? Will that be a big part of what you're trying to do this week?
My first thought was one of our coaches making a comment to somebody on the other side of the ball a few weeks back about something he saw that he thought was tipping something, and people get a little sensitive sometimes too. So, but the thing is, we are trying to take a look at some different things we're doing. We're looking at some different things on special teams today. We're looking at a few different wrinkles offensively. 'Cause I think this week gives you that flexibility to maybe try something that you've been thinking about and work on it, because you're not reaching that deadline of Saturday. So that's really what we've tried to do throughout the last couple of days, is look at things we need to improve on, or maybe some tweaks or things that we can have to take advantage of a player, or to take advantage of something that somebody's been doing to us the last few weeks. And so I think it's always good. I talk about the fact that my coordinators, their hair is a little bit grayer than mine. And so to me, gray hair equates to experience, and the experience that we have on our staff really helps us as far as going, we're going against each other a good bit this week. And I think that experience of, different ways to do things and adapt has really helped our program over the last 2 years. So this will be a good week for all that stuff.
Coach, the script week in and week out seems to be very similar. It's a close ball game at halftime in most cases, and then the Dukes really take control offensively in the second half. Is one of the areas or a point to look at is how quickly you get started offensively, or is some of that maybe dictated because you've got so much trust in the defense?
Well, we plan to start fast every week, so the other team just doesn't cooperate all the time. So, I'd love for them to let us march down there and score about 4 times in a row and give us a 3 and out, but people aren't cooperating quite as much this year as they did last year. The big reason for that, I'd probably say, is strength of schedule. A few of the teams that we had the ability to do that against last year, either they were improved this year or they weren't on our schedule this year. But, I think Saturday was a great reflection of what our team is capable of, in that I thought we took control from early on. We did have the 1 turnover. I told Brian he'd not need to feel obligated to do that every game early on, but I did think that we established ourselves pretty early on in the ball game and controlled the ball game really from start to finish. But I do think that by the third quarter we start to wear people down, and then you have the big play on special teams from D'Angelo with a blocked punt and a scoop and score, and all of a sudden it starts to snowball on you. And that's usually when things really take off, is when one mistake leads to another, and then it's a turnover. And Elon didn't turn the ball over Saturday, which kept the game at the scoring margin that it did. But no, I'd be fine with 35-0 at the end of the first quarter. Anytime anybody wants to lay down for us.
Coach, there was a lot of well-deserved praise said on that selection show. When you guys look back at where you guys started from, and you look back at the start of fall camp, did you imagine the kind of success that you would have at this point in the season?
I didn't know. I knew we had a talented roster coming back, but I also knew that this was not, we weren't going to sneak up on anybody. And I thought our schedule was tougher this year than it was a year ago. And I knew that it was going to be very, very hard to do what we did last year in the CAA. I didn't fully expect to be able to go undefeated in league play again, but I think, again, that goes back to the commitment of our kids. So I would say maybe that's what I wanted, but I don't think I expected that. But to go 11-0 and undefeated, certainly I did not expect that. But I think that is just a credit to the determination of our players and the hard work of our coaching staff and all the hours that they put in to prepare our team. So we talked about it yesterday. It's Thanksgiving week. And one of the things we need to be thankful for is each other, because we're very blessed to have great kids, great coaches, and really good people in our program.
Anything else from members?
Okay. Thanks a lot. Look forward to seeing you next week when we have a ball game. Everybody enjoy Thanksgiving. Go Dukes.
Again, the Dukes idle this weekend. They will keep an eye on Lehigh and Stony Brook. That's a 2 o'clock game this weekend at Stony Brook. And the winner comes to Harrisonburg to play the Dukes on December the 2nd. And you can watch that game on ESPN3 between Stony Brook and Lehigh. We'll be back with JMU men's basketball coach Lewis Rowe in just a moment here at O'Neill's Grill.